So about a month ago, I talked about this certain set of potential Funko NFTs coming out in 2024. However, yesterday as I'm recording this, or 2 days ago as this gets released, 3 more photos have surfaced of potential Funko NFT sets coming out in 2024. So of course, I'm DK Wrestler, and in today's video, I am going to be talking about these 9 potential sets coming out in 2024 and speculate what the redeemables would be if these sets were to have come true. So let's get right to it. So I'm going to begin with this certain set of Funko NFTs, starting off with the potential Daria set. Now, I thought I would start off with Daria since this is what I have basically the least amount of knowledge towards. But I think for this set, first of all, that this would be a very tiny set because it's more of kind of a niche cartoon that I feel like this would be as small of a set as we've seen with like Bob Ross and Jay and Silent Bob, where we would probably only have 3 redeemables in total, 1 for Grail, Legendary, and the Royalty. So I think first off, we would get some sort of version of Daria as the Grail. Then I have an Ultra Cola Brittany, which I believe Brittany has never been made in the Daria lineup previously. And then for the Royalty, I have it as Freddy Funko as Trent Lane. I think that character was the easiest I was able to look at that could be transformed for a Freddy Funko Pop. And one thing I will say is that I feel like this set is so very niche-y, as I'm going to use as a term again, that I think if this set is more than 15,000 packs for standard and premiums, I don't think it would sell out. So it needs to be something 15,000 or less for this to possibly sell out, in my opinion. The next set that was listed in this list was Batman Villains. Now, this one is a little bit weird considering that in the last video I did a month ago, there was a listing of Batman 85th Anniversary Heroes. So now it just makes me think, like, is it going to be 2 separate Batman sets, or did someone screw up and that maybe this is the set we're getting for Batman now and not the Heroes? But we're gonna go with the flow. I do have a list of pops here, more specifically 6 redeemables. So I think it's easy to say that you're gonna have some sort of Joker pop in this set. Arguably the greatest Batman villain ever, and this would indeed be the Grail since there have been a ton of Joker pops previously. Then for the legendaries, I have variants of the Penguin, Harley Quinn, Killer Croc, and Clayface. And then I have the Freddy Funko Royalty being Freddy Funko as Two-Face. There was the Freddy Funko as Riddler for the DC Series 2 set, and I believe we have gotten Freddy Funko as the Joker before in the early days of Funko, so it was a bit difficult, but it would be cool to see Freddy Funko as Two-Face, considering that it's never been done, obviously. Next set listed is a Series 2 for My Little Pony. It's funny to see this because it's become almost a joke of a set, and I mean that in a good way because a lot of times when, let's say, you go on Facebook groups and you'd be like, what's the next set that's possibly being announced? And people jokingly would be saying My Little Pony Series 2 because it was so random when the first one came out that a lot of us probably didn't think there was going to be a Series 2, but it's now seeming like it could be a reality that a Series 2 could be releasing, which honestly, I'd probably rather see this Series 2 than to have seen Squid Game Series 1, to be completely honest. But once again, I do have 6 redeemables listed since that's exactly how many redeemables there were in Series 1. So for this, I have Mr. Shy and Mrs. Shy, 1 character a Grail and 1 as a legendary. They have done in the past where they take 2 characters that are meant to be together, and instead of making them 2 legendaries, they make them 1 as a Grail and 1 as a legendary. Examples I can list off the top of my head: Nickelodeon Series 1 had the superhero Tommy and Chucky Pops. 1 was a Grail, 1 was a legendary. And then the retro toy set, we had Mr. Potato Head Transformers Pops. 1 was a Grail, 1 was a legendary. So I'm basing it off of that this could possibly happen. The next redeemable I have is Spike, which this definitely makes sense because in Series 1, the Royalty was Freddy Funko as Spike, so Spike could finally get its own Funko Pop by itself instead of being the Royalty Pop. And then I have Applejack and Star Swirl the Bearded. I picked these 2 specifically just because they kind of looked cool. I'm not exactly sure if those would actually be accurate to be like the next ones, but I thought they looked cool. That's why I chose them for the legendaries. And then I have for the Royalty, Freddy Funko as Groger. I thought that the look of Groger looked cool and neat for a Royalty Pop. Then we're going to look at the second picture with the first one listed is Universal Monsters. Now, this is a pretty interesting set of pops to be turned into NFTs. Definitely makes sense. And for me, I think it was a bit easy to actually come up with redeemables because I think all they would do is make blacklight version of already existing pops. Blacklight Frankenstein, which yes, I know that we've already had a Blacklight Frankenstein previously, previously and it was like a Walgreens exclusive or something like that, but they could easily do another colorway and then make that the Grail pop of the set. And then for legendaries, it's Blacklight Bride of Frankenstein, the Wolfman, Phantom of the Opera, and Creature from the Black Lagoon. And then for the royalty, it would be Freddy Funko as Dracula. Next set listed is a Warner Brothers Horror Series 2. First off come from the movie The Conjuring, which I have both Ed Warren and Lorraine Warren. And I'm doing these exactly the same way as I talked about the My Little Pony pops, where one of them, most likely Ed, would be the Grail, and Lorraine is the legendary of the set, or one of the legendaries. And then the other ones would be the Painting Lady from It, Jack Torrance from The Shining, Marco from The Lost Boys. Lost Boys is a Warner Brothers Horror Series, and they haven't done Lost Boys pops in a while, so this would excite a lot of people. And then I have Freddy Funko as Richie from It. I feel like with this set, they will once again have 2 pops from It, and then as shown in here, I have 2 pops from The Conjuring, and then 1 pop from 2 separate movies. And then it looks like we may be getting a set of Alien Funko NFTs, which the first one I have listed is an Ellen Ripley, which will most likely be the Grail. But then for the legendaries, I have listed Dallas, Kane, Dog Alien, and Newborn. And then for the royalty, I have Freddy Funko with the Face Hugger. The Kane would probably be super popular considering that is the character that has the xenomorph popping out of the chest. So that's basically how I would imagine it being made, and people would go all over that pop realistically. And then the last picture we have with the last 3 sets we're going to be talking about, we're going to first kick off with the Rick and Morty set, because it's random that this is on the list, because this was actually on like the very first ever Funko NFT leaked list that came out almost a year ago, where it had sets like It, Powerpuff Girls, and The Dark Knight that ended up being confirmed. But Rick and Morty is one of those sets that was also on that list and still hasn't been confirmed, but it has reappeared on this list. First off, for the Grail, I think it'd be Rick D. Sanchez III. I don't know if it's specifically going to be this Rick Sanchez, but I do believe that, of course, a Rick and a Morty will be involved in this set. And then for the legendaries, I have a Cop Morty. Like I mentioned, there definitely would be some sort of version of Morty in this set realistically, just not sure which one, because they've made so many Rick and Mortys for this set. And then for characters that have actually never been transformed into pop form before, first up we got Prince Nebulon, one of the antagonists in the first season, Arthricia, which I believe was in the second season if not mistaken. I know they did a mystery mini of her, so I'm surprised they haven't done a pop in the set yet. And then a pop that I have been wanting for so long, and I've been mentioning that if they do come out with Rick and Morty NFTs, that I feel like this has to be in this set because we've been waiting so long. That of course is Morty Jr., one of those really popular characters or variants of Morty realistically from season 1 that somehow had never been transformed into pop form, and I feel like the time would be now. And if it doesn't get made in this set, I honestly don't think we're ever going to get a Morty Jr. realistically. Freddy Funko as Mr. Meeseeks for the royalty. I find that out of all of the pops I have listed here, this probably would be the most likely one to come true. I think that'd be awesome, and the photo I just showed you was something I found on Reddit, so whoever made that, that's really awesome. Next one listed is Cartoon Network. So this is something I kind of wanted to see for quite a while now. Exactly the route that they've done with the 2 Nickelodeon sets, where it's a bunch of different Cartoon Network series. But the way that I made this list is that I think, because we've seen it as a trend, is that the sets that are Cartoon Network that have their own sets, like let's say Powerpuff Girls, like I mentioned, Steven Universe has had their own set, Adventure Time, I actually don't think they would be a part of this Cartoon Network set. So the first pop I have listed here would be the Grail, that is Samurai Jack in the black outfit. And then for the legendaries, I think a lot of you may like the selection of legendaries. First up from Ben 10, it is Heat Blast, Coco and Wilt from Foster's Home from Imaginary Friends. And then the last legendary is Bunny Bravo, and then for the royalty, it would be Freddy Funko as Dexter from Dexter's Laboratory. I think that's a pretty solid list of Grail, legendaries, and royalty for a Cartoon Network set. You do have a mix of a bunch of different Cartoon Network shows. And then last but not least is Scooby-Doo Series 2. Just recently on an episode of our podcast, of Funko Popcast, we discussed about NFT sets that deserve a Series 2, and Scooby-Doo is one of them, and now it seems like it's likely it's happening. First off, for the Grail, we will probably get some sort of version of Scooby-Doo, just like we did with Series 1 with like the superhero Scooby-Doo. Not sure what they would exactly do, but but I'm sure they can come up with something. Then as terms to the legendaries, it would probably be exactly like how we got with Series 1, where it's a bunch of villains. So what I have listed here is Black Knight, Sea Beast, Moon Monster, and then the Zombie, or Bald Zombie as some websites were calling it. The reason I chose the Zombie as one of the legendaries is because you can actually find a card itself when looking through the redemption tracker on the drop website. So I love when they're able to kind of give hints on future pops with cards within the first set. Gave a little bit of a hint that it could be a redeemable in the second set. And that's what I kind of based off of with the royalty, which is Freddy Funko as Witch Doctor Unmasked. It was actually a epic card in the very first set of the Scooby-Doo Funko NFTs. But anyways, guys, that's gonna be the end of today's video. If you enjoyed today's video of me talking about the potential next set of Funko NFTs coming out in 2024, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know down below some redeemables you think are happening in the set, or just what you're excited about the most out of the ones I talked about today. And I hope to see you guys in another video. 1, 2, 3, I'm out of here.